Hi, everybody. So as you are starting to come back to the gym, work out outside, maybe it's been a little while. Maybe you've just been doing a lot of walking, cycling. Maybe you're like me, you're a distance learner and you're sitting at your desk and everything hurts. Just a reminder that stretching is just as important as the exercise, right? When we exercise, especially, our bodies tense up and tighten up. And when you do not counter it with a nice stretch, you really increase your risk for injury. And no one wants that as the gyms open back up. So this video is just a quick tutorial of legs up the wall. You can watch the other video that was previously recorded to show you how to get into the poses. So we're going to get started. You're going to come right to the wall. So getting up the wall is really the hardest work here. So what you want to do, you want to sit facing away from the wall. One shoulder, one hip is into the wall. You're going to actually make contact, and then maintaining contact with that one hip, you're going to start to lie down, swing your legs up the wall. So it's a lot more awkward than I just made it seem, but your ultimate goal is to get your butt all the way up to the wall. Now, for some of us, that might mean that you need to have bent knees because it's really challenging. Doesn't make you a bad person, just means you have tight hamstrings. All the more reason to modify and accommodate. So when your feet are above your heart like this, it's called an inversion in yoga world, and all that really means is that we're reversing the flow of the blood from the heart. So if you struggle from swelling, this is a great way to relieve that and alleviate that. Personally, I do this once a day because by the end of the day, I know my feet blow up like balloons. So as you get comfortable here, you're gradually straightening your legs. And if it's your first time doing this, don't be so hard on yourself. Bend your knees. Modifying is totally fine. The most important thing is that we ultimately make contact between your butt and the wall. And if your first attempt, your butt's far away from the wall, I would recommend coming out of it and then entering just the way that we did. Shimmying your butt toward the wall doesn't always work so well, and it becomes very awkward. So in the interest of time, you want to work your way to straight legs, and then you're going to curl your toes towards your face as you inhale, press your heels away as you exhale. Curling the toes starts to give a nice stretch in the front of the shins, and pressing the heels really starts to open up the calves and the Achilles heel. So I recommend holding this beginning position for about 5 minutes or so, and feel free to pause this video, set yourself a little timer, because it is really important to give your body that chance to really melt into this and adjust to the pose. Now from here, your second move would be to come into a wide V shape. So even if you are an Olympic gymnast and can go into a full split, congratulations, but that's not really the purpose of this stretch. We want to go just far enough that you feel a nice big stretch on the inside of your thighs or your adductor muscles, right? Adductors add together, abductors press away. So inner thighs are adductor, outer thighs are abductor. Your lower back is planted nice and firmly into the ground. Heels are still into the wall, and then curl your toes towards your face. If you feel like it's really challenging to be here, what you can do is support yourselves with yoga blocks or a foam roller on either side, even pillows, textbooks, cookbooks, milk crates, whatever you have, something that will stabilize your legs. The idea here is to feel as supported as possible, right? And if you go so far that you start to feel pins and needles in your legs and you lose sensation, that's too far. We don't want to block the flow of the blood. We just want to open up here. So in real time, whether you are spending a lot of time seated, driving, walking, whatever, life and gravity has the tendency to force our bodies to rotate inward, and opening up the legs like this counters that by rotating outward. So it's a really nice way to sort of reverse any of that hunching or slouching that starts to happen toward the end of the day. And I know myself spending about 6 hours a day at a desk doing grad school work, I absolutely noticed that by the end of the day. So the yoga teacher is guilty of it too. So once again, I recommend staying in this pose for about 3 to 5 minutes if you have the time. At this point, I would recommend pausing the video, starting a timer, and then coming back. So your exit is really important here. You don't want to just swoosh your legs up. We want to use the core to support the spine here so that we reduce the risk of injury. So you'll take a nice big inhale through your nose. As you exhale, draw your belly button towards your spine like you're bracing for impact here, and then use your inhale to bring your legs back up into that L shape. So second time in your L shape here, Hopefully it's a little bit easier to straighten your legs. If not, not a problem at all. Accommodate that as you would with just bending the knees. And then you're just going to point and flex the toes a couple of times. Hopefully your back is starting to feel a little bit flatter, right? If you think about it, our spine, our hamstrings, our calves, there's nothing flat or straight about them. But the wall and the floor set up that platform for gravity to kind of help you melt into that, reset your body. So we're going to add on here moving into the hips. What you're going to do, you're going to take your right ankle, cross it over your left thigh. So lots of room to modify here. If you're someone who cannot comfortably get your ankle over your thigh, and maybe you're on your kneecap or your shin, I'd rather you bring your foot, the sole of your foot, to the inside of your calf. We never, ever want to put unnecessary pressure or tension on the kneecap. That's just not a good idea for the health of your knee. Better to modify, work your way up. I promise it will happen. If you met me 15 years ago, I was a very, very tight freestyle swimmer. Could not touch my toes, I kid you not. And it took me years to be able to get into the stretches that I can get into today. So no pressure. So either sole of the foot on the inside of your calf, or you can bring it above your knee. So if you're above your knee, notice that this is reverse pigeon pose. This is pigeon pose on our back. So if you're in a yoga class and pigeon pose is just not for you, or you're in the beginning of a class, they offer pigeon as a stretch to warm up, find a wall. You can do this lying on your back without a wall. It's a great way to modify. You get the exact same benefit of the posture. So if you can comfortably have your heel above your kneecap, start to bend your knee a little bit. Bend that left knee just a little bit. You'll notice that a soft bend in the left knee really activates that right hip outer glute area. If bending your knee makes your butt lift all the way off the wall, we don't want to go there. We want to keep your butt flat on the ground. Then you hold for about 10 more breaths on this side. And in the interest of time, I'm going to let this go and switch. So to let it go, you're going to gently release the right leg back up, point and flex the toes a couple times, get the blood back to your leg. And then we're going to go left ankle over the right thigh. So those same modifications are available to you on this side. If you cannot comfortably get your heel above your thigh, place the sole of your foot into the inside of your calf. If you're feeling good and you want to advance here, have a soft little bend in your knee. So one side might feel completely different than the other, and that's totally normal. In life, we tend to favor one side over the other. So the best way that you can remedy this is just to be more mindful during the day. Are you holding your pocketbook or your backpack on one side? When you're holding kids, do you only hold them with one arm? Do you take your groceries in with one arm? Are you a side sleeper? These are little life things that you can do to sort of let go of that imbalance, right? So on this side, you'll stay here for about 10 breaths as well. And then your exit is super important. You want to make sure that your right leg is nice and straight. Carefully release the left leg, back to meet the right. You're back in your L shape third time. Point and flex the toes. You should really start to feel your lower back melting into the floor. And then we've got two more things to do here. What you're going to do is place the soles of your feet together, knees wide, creating like a butterfly shape. Now, in a perfect yoga world, your heels are all the way in towards your groin, and at the same time, your knees are touching the wall. Now, we don't live in a perfect yoga world, so all I really want you to feel in this pose is a really big stretch on the inside of your thighs, a little bit of an activation in the hip flexor. Try to have the soles of your feet touching each other. And if this is enough of a stretch, absolutely stay. If you want more of a stretch, place your hands on your thighs. You're going to inhale, push your thighs toward the wall, open up the hips a little bit more, and then exhale, soften back to neutral. So since your spine is pretty stabilized here, you can be a little bit more aggressive in your adjustments. You're not going to hurt yourself. If before COVID-19 you were squatting your 1 rep maximum and now you're like, oh my God, I have no more squat strength, this is for you. If you are doing any sort of back squat, front squat, something that really requires you to be mindful of your knee positioning, this is excellent to do. I highly recommend doing this pose, if anything, before, during, and after squatting with heavy weights. Your lower back will thank you. So at this point, I would pause the video again, stay here for 3 to 5 minutes if you have the time. Otherwise, we're going to make our way out. All you're going to do is just place the soles of your feet into the wall, bring your knees into your chest, tuck into a nice tight ball. So I want you to really draw your heels down like an inch above your butt, and your knees come in tight towards your chest. You should feel your lower back really plant nice and flat into the floor here. And then I want you to interlace either your fingers above your knees or hold on to opposite elbows if you have the mobility there. And I want you to pull your knees in towards your chest as you inhale. And as you exhale, press down with such force that you feel your hip flexors start to pinch and activate a little bit. I want you to imagine like I'm going to come around with a 50-pound plate, place it on your shins. How would that compress you into this tight ball right here? So just as we speak about in yoga, anytime your knees are to your chest, you are stretching out your lower back. Whether you are standing in forward folding, in child's pose, or just like this, supine on your back with knees towards your chest. Hold here for about 3 more breaths. Big inhale through the nose. Exhale through the nose. Inhale, fill up. Exhale, let it go. So once more, if you have the time, stay here for about 3 to 5 minutes. So we're at the end of our time with legs up the wall, and your exit is just as, could be potentially as awkward as your entrance. So you really want to be mindful. You don't want to just pop off the wall, and I bet you if you tried to, you probably couldn't. You're kind of stuck in here, right? So what you'll do to gracefully get off the wall, you're going to raise your right arm over your head. Your bicep will become a little bit of a pillow. As you bring your knees and your feet with you, you're going to carefully roll all the way over to one side. Take a pause. Give yourself a second. We've been on the ground for a while. Legs have been up, so we don't want to just pop right up. When you're ready, you'll use your opposite hand as a bit of a kickstand to press you back up into a comfortable seated position. And that's it.